Milk-based fermented foods. Introduction. Milk and milk-based products are consumed most popularly due to their nutritive value. They are very much nutritious, contain plenty of proteins, minerals, and vitamins. For the same reason, milk is easily curdled by pathogenic microorganisms, which brings about spoilage. Hence, fermentation of milk using the lactic acid bacilli is preferred for prevention of the nutrient quality. Lactic acid bacilli convert milk sugar lactose into lactic acid, and selective strains produce antibacterial substance called as bacteriocin to suppress milk curdling bacteria and prevent spoilage. Yogurt, curd or dahi, all of them are almost similar. Most of the foods in this category are prepared by simply adding lactic acid bacilli to milk of either cow, buffalo or yak and allowed to ferment. One such fermented food is dahi. Its description is found in texts as old as 700 BC. So it had been used since ancient times. Dahi or curd is most popular and commonly used traditional Indian fermented product which is made from cow or buffalo's milk, inoculated with a culture of curd and allowed to ferment for a day or even longer at room temperature. The sour curd is either used directly for further processing or it is churned into buttermilk and then processed. It is consumed directly either as a sweetened drink in the form of lassi, or it can be salted, or it can also be spiced. This food is often served with rice or with naan, and it is consumed more popularly in summer than in winter because it produces cooling effects. The vitamin content of the dahi depends upon the type of organisms used for the fermentation. The mixed culture of Lactobacillus bulgaricus and Lactobacillus cremoris in dahi decrease the level of thiamine, riboflavin and nicotinic acid, which all of them are the B vitamins. But the single cultures of Streptococcus lactis and the Streptococcus cremoris raised the thiamine content from 2 to 20% over that of milk. The pH of dahi is in the range of 4.6 to 5, which is acidic. Dahi differs from yogurt in its use of mixed starters of mesophilic lactococci. Both of them are similar, but the microorganism which brings about fermentation in curd is different and the organisms that are found in the yogurt are different. A principal flavor-inducing metabolite is diacetyl, which is appreciated more by the people of South Indian origin compared to the acetaldehyde flavor that is present in the yogurt. Yak milk is also processed into a number of dairy products such as the fermented milk, cheese, chur, churpen, churkram, chu, piluk, shayo, and ma. Shayo is a thick gel curd-like product prepared from yak milk. Mohi is buttermilk prepared by churning the dahi. It is consumed as a refreshing beverage. Somar is a soft paste, strongly flavored, which has a bitter taste and is consumed as a soup along with food, cooked rice or finger millets by the Sherpas of Sikkim. Philu is a typical indigenous cream-like milk product obtained from cow milk or yak milk and is mostly eaten as a cooked paste delicacy with boiled rice by the Sikkimese. The lactic acid bacilli strains produced various enzymes such as esterase, phosphatase, leucine aryl amidase, beta-galactosidase, and peptidase. These bacterial strains inhibited pathogens in the product called as Philu. Kadhi is a delicacy of Gujarat. This fermented food is prepared from sour dahi or buttermilk mixed with spices and dal and warm. Usually, Bengal gram dal flour is used. The lactic acid bacilli isolated from kadhi exhibited antibacterial activity against Staphylococcus aureus, Escherichia coli, and Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and also showed basic probiotic properties. The lactic acid bacilli species isolated from fermented milk products include Streptococcus cremoris, Streptococcus lactis, Streptococcus thermophilus, Lactobacillus bulgaricus, Lactobacillus acidophilus, Lactobacillus helveticus, Lactobacillus cremoris, Lactobacillus plantarum, and Lactobacillus covatus. Lactobacillus fermentum, Lactobacillus paracasei, Lactobacillus alimentarius, Lactobacillus kefir, Lactobacillus hilgardi, Enterococcus fecum, Lactobacillus mesenteroides, Lactobacillus falciparum, Lactobacillus brevis, Lactobacillus lactus, Lactobacillus casei, and Lactobacillus bifermentans, Lactobacillus lacti from dahi produce nisin-like bacteriocin that inhibited important food pathogens like Lactobacillus monocytogenes and Streptococcus aureus. Rabadi is the next product that is fermented and obtained from milk. Rabadi is an indigenous, natural, cereal-based lactic fermented milk beverage popular in northwestern semi-arid regions of India. Traditionally, rabadi is prepared by admixing cereal flour with sour buttermilk in different proportion. The mixture is further fermented by placing in sunlight for 3 to 4 hours and finally boiled. The product is consumed either directly or after dilution with milk or buttermilk. Rabadi is a milk cereal-based fermented product made from cooked maize flour and buttermilk. As compared to other cereals, pearl millet has lower glycemic index, which is helpful in managing non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, Pediococcus acidilacti, Bacillus species and Micrococcus species have been isolated from fermented rabadi. The place of origin of rabadi is Rajasthan. It is a cereal and buttermilk based fermented food. The composition or the ingredients used are the flour of barley, pearl millet, corn or soybean and country buttermilk. Method of preparation: the flour of cereals or pulses are mixed with country buttermilk, fermented for 4 to 6 hours or left overnight at 35 to 45 degrees centigrade. And fermentation takes place by lactic acid fermentation. Microorganisms involved are the Penicillium acidilacti, Bacillus and Micrococcus. Changes in physical and chemical profile of rabadi. The pH changes from 6.7 to 6.4. It becomes acidic and a slight volume increase of about 5%. There is no change in amino nitrogen or free sugar content. Therefore, consumption of such an indigenous fermented product may be useful in preventing and ameliorating mineral deficiencies, especially iron deficiency anemia, which is more common among the vegetarian population of the developing countries like India, and improving their nutritional status. Shrikhand is the next fermented milk product. Shrikhand is a popular fermented sweetened indigenous dairy product having semi-solid consistency with a typical sweetish sour taste. It is very popular in the state of Gujarat, Maharashtra and parts of Karnataka. Traditionally, Shrikhand is prepared by boiling cow or buffalo or mixed milk and cooled to room temperature. Thus, heated and cooled milk is then added with previous day's dahi at the rate of 0.5 to 1%. The milk is left undisturbed overnight at room temperature to set firmly. This is the same like the preparation of curd. It is then stirred and then hung in a muslin cloth for about 10 to 12 hours to drain off the whey. The curd mass obtained after the removal of whey is called as chakka. Chakka is then added with calculated amount of sugar, that is 40 to 45% of sugar, color, flavor and other optional ingredients like fruits, nuts, spices, herbs, and it is cooled at to 10 degrees centigrade or less. The yield of chakka produced traditionally is about 650 grams per 1000 grams of milk, and the yield of Shrikhand is about 1.5 to 2 kg per kilogram of chakka due to the addition of sugar. The chakka obtained from the whole milk, standardized milk, has a smooth body. whereas the one obtained from skim milk is a little rough and dry. This is due to the less amount of fat present in the curd of the skim milk. When whole milk is used for chakka making, high fat losses occur in whey, thereby affecting the recovery of fat in the chakka. Therefore, it is preferred to use skim milk for chakka making and then mixing of cream or unsalted butter to adjust the fat in the finished product. Because the fat that is present in the whole milk will be lost in the whey water. Homogenization of the milk leads to slow drainage of whey, giving higher moisture content in the chakka and a product with very soft consistency, which is not liked by the consumers. So homogenized milk is not very much suitable for the preparation of Srikhand. Conventionally made chakka lacks uniformity from batch to batch with regards to moisture and acidity. Moisture content affects the yield, consistency, and composition, whereas acidity affects the taste and quantity of sugar to be added. More it is acidic, more sugar has to be added. It may contain fruits, nuts, sugar, cardamom, saffron, and other spices. It shall not contain any added coloring and artificial flavoring substances. This is the flow chart which shows the preparation of Srikhand. Skim milk is taken, which contains 9% total solids, 0.13% lactic acid, at a pH of 6.7. It is heated to 85 degrees centigrade for 30 minutes, cooled to 30 degrees centigrade, and inoculated with Lactobacillus lactis and Lactobacillus lactis species, diacetyl-lactis, 1 to 1.5%. After inoculation, it is incubated at room temperature for 10 to 12 hours. The dahi is prepared where it contains 0.9% of lactic acid and the pH is 4.6. This is then taken in a basket and it is centrifuged. During the centrifugation, where the centrifuge is rotated at 900 rpm for 90 minutes at 30 degrees centigrade, the whey water is released, or it can be just taken in a cloth and it can be hung in order to remove the whey water. After the whey is removed, whatever precipitate we get is called as the chakka. If the chakka is 20 kg, add 25%, it will contain about 25% of the total solids. The titratable acidity of 2 and the pH is around 4.4 to 4.6. It is taken in a planetary mixer. In this mixer, it is capable of rotation. A cream is added 80%, fat, sugar is added 80% of chakka, and cardamom is also added. Srikhand is obtained. The pH is 4.4 to 4.6 and the fat is 5.6. Total acidity is 1 to 1.5. Protein is 6.5 to 7. Sucrose 40 to 43%. The mineral content, ash content is 0.49 to 0.53. Total solids 557 to 60%. It can be packed at room temperature and it has to be stored at low temperature, cold storage, where the temperature should be less than 7 degrees centigrade. This is the image of the Srikhand. In this segment, we saw the different types of fermented products prepared from milk, like the yogurt. We also saw about Rabadi and the preparation of Srikhand. Thank you.